I also, in fact, have not written anything, so I'm going in the line of Fatima Mernissi tell two stories that she told in a book that I thought are really interesting for us in these times where in which Trump, became president, the Brexit, the all these issues that in fact we have to deal with, and I thought, wow. The first book I, in fact, read from her is much later than Nadia or Sarah Bracken in the 90s. It was only in 2004 when she received the Erasmus Prize, and it was this book, Religion and Modernity, written by her and Sadiq Al-Azm and Abdel Karim Sorouj. And in this book, she has two really interesting stories. And one is about globalization, how we should deal with this process in which the global and the local have become so, intensely connected, where we are supposed to have this international integration, but where at the same time borders have become such important aspects. So she says, so I think it's a big challenge for us. How are we going to deal with this new situation we are in? And that question entails, how are we going to deal with strangers? And in that story on globalization, she brings up two fictive characters, but are really interesting characters. So the first one is, of course, the cowboy, and the second one is Sinbad. And although we can say, oh, maybe it refers to these two characters refer to two different civilizations, she didn't. She didn't speak of the West, that is, symbolized by the cowboy, the herder on his ranch, and who wants to protect his territory. And from the moment that strangers come in, he takes out his guns. And then the other one, Sinbad, who was invented, in fact, by the storytellers of Baghdad, the Qusas of Baghdad in the 9th century, and who, instead of, protecting his borders, he flew over all these borders to China and India to become richer and more happy. So what she said in her story is, let's not take it as an East versus West story, as one civilization versus another, but we have to understand it as visions of how we want to form our lives or live our lives, and which kind of societies do we want to strive for. So we have both in the West and in the East, we have both cowboys who have a protectionist understanding of how we should live our lives and how our society should develop. And at the same time, we have Sinbad who really think through a dialogue with others, we can become richer as a person, as a society, and as a humankind. So I think it's really interesting to read her as a storyteller that who really touches on core issues that surround us and that we are sometimes not aware of. And I think that's why I want to tell the second story, which is the story of the satellite. For example, the satellite TV, in which also she brings this Muntaha Rahimi, so this woman, she says in 2002 when she first heard her, she became jealous of her because she entered satellite TV and all these men were talking about her, and she was superb. And satellite TV, often in our I only last week or 2 weeks ago, Elvis blijft bestaan, I heard Fikri Al-Azzouzi, who was confronted with this question, like, are you watching satellite TV? And oh my God, you know, like all these Flemish actors and dancers, and we presume that you guys were raised up watching satellite TV. And in the sense as if, satellite TV is something anachronistic, is like something presenting like a stable, protected community where no change, where no dialogue finds place. So, and she brings this story in which she says that satellite TV kind of gave women positions as news anchors who were talking politics, who were talking about society, who were, went away from this frame of the belly dancers, the portraits that Nedja showed us, and how women in a way and through satellite TV have brought different understandings of how society could be organized, how gender relations could shape themselves. So and then the second person. So maybe introducing. She really elaborated in this story, like this Muntaha Rahimi, how she has interesting talk shows about big taboos, about how the relationship, the sexual relationship between men and women, how these things can really have a platform on satellite. And then way later, also in we saw from these secular looking women, being influenced by the Islamic revival. So probably many of us who watched satellite saw the change of Khadija al-Ginne, who as a non-veiled woman became a veiled woman, and how also these Islamic revival, secular aspirations of women were all talked about, and in a way they kind of remain absent in the debates that we have on women in Islam, on the relationship we have with media, etc. So I think it's really worthwhile to read her stories and to take them by yourself, and to contribute and to build on them in order to understand our society much better, and in order to continue building on a really interesting tradition that she helped us shape, basically. Thank you very much.